come build with me this college dorm I made for my 100 baby challenge. So I've been doing this challenge as a series on my channel lately, and we're getting to the point where we're starting to move children out, and I actually had a really productive episode where 2 of our children aged up into young adults in the same episode, and they weren't even twins or anything. It was really crazy. And one had been a genius. That was his very first trait he got as a child, and then the other one was kind of an artistic prodigy. And so I thought it'd be really fun to send them both to college kind of as roommates, but going to the opposing universities. So like the genius, more mental kid could go to Foxbury, and the artistic prodigy could go to the University of Brightchester, since one is very STEM and the other is very artsy. And so that was the inspiration for this build. I built it on a neutral lot that isn't on either campus, with the hopes that I'd be able to have them both live there even though they went to separate universities. It actually ended up not working out like that. I'm not sure if that's just impossible or if my game was glitching, but it would not let me move them into here. So I reclassified it as a rental residential, so they could still have people living in the other rooms, but it's not quite the same as the university roommate system. At the end of the day, we're moving these Sims out of our playable household, so it really won't affect us. Now for the actual design of the building, I wanted to match the townhouse aesthetic of Brightchester and all of the shells around it. So I went for a 3-story townhouse, but I made the first floor jut out a bit to make it more interesting, and then the second and third story have jut-ins, also to make it more interesting. I hate it when my builds just look like a box. And then taking inspiration from the neighboring lots townhouse, I made the first floor a different wallpaper than the top 2 floors. I used a lot of the university stuff here, so both wallpapers are from university. Now I feel like I do this in all of my builds, but it just looks so good to put columns on all of the corners. So of course I did that here. And then on the back bump in, I wanted to add a hidden little flower box. I had a very specific flower box in mind, and it took me forever to figure out which one it was, but it was this one. It's from the base game. I love it, and it fits into this little nook so well. And then I closed it off with a university fence to really make it blend in before going through and adding even more columns. Now the floor plan on the inside is 4 rooms per floor. I don't actually have anything on the 3rd floor. I knew I didn't want to furnish that many rooms, and I wasn't even sure I wanted that many roommates. That's 12 people in a not very big building. So I kept it simple with just 8 rooms, and each pair of rooms shares a Jack and Jill bathroom. Then the first floor has extra room because it juts out farther than the other floors, and I want to use that space for like community areas, as well as using the roof for like a party area. But we'll get to that in a minute. Now fortunately for my sanity, dorm rooms are very copy and paste. I love doing these kind of builds because the exterior is so fun, and then making all of these different personalized rooms sounds really appealing. It feels like there's so many opportunities for stories and interactions, but then by the time I actually have to go through and individually furnish all of the rooms, I'm exhausted and my creativity is out. So it was actually kind of a relief to do a multi-unit build like this without having to burn myself out on the details. Plus, one of the great things about the university pack is your roommates actually bring their own stuff with them to help decorate the rooms, and I love that detail. So I wanted to leave the rooms mostly as a blank slate, although I did add a couple storytelling items, which I'll point out when we get to them. So for now, I'm just going in and doing that typical university cookie cutter furniture, and I used a lot of the furniture from the university pack, and it just made me think of so many memories. Like, this furniture was very accurate to my college experience. I can remember it so clearly. And then I wasn't sure what to do for flooring. My first thought was like a hardwood or a linoleum, but there wasn't a good linoleum swatch that I liked, and then my chat actually recommended I use the dirty carpet swatch from City Living, which looked perfect. That was such a good idea. It really made the dorms feel like other students have lived here before, and you're just walking in their footsteps. They're very dirty footsteps all over your rug. Sometimes when I'm going back and recording these voiceovers, I get anxiety over how little I save. I've lost whole builds before because I forgot to save and the power went out, so I really should be better about this. I cut out the loading screens in these kind of speed builds, but I just now remembered to save. We are so far into the build, the exterior is almost completely done. Imagine if I had lost it. Anyway, speaking of the exterior, this is around the time I was realizing I forgot to put in any windows, so it was kind of feeling a bit like a prison. So I went through and put these university windows all over, which just looks so good. I guess I don't build this style of building very often, so I don't use the university stuff, especially the windows, very often. But my goodness, they look great in this style of build. I was really impressed. I also added the little crests from both schools onto the front of the building, which I thought was a nice touch. You can see me adding the blinds in, and even though I tried to make everything very samey, I still went with like a color scheme for the different rooms. You see I have the red and green chairs, the red and green beds, and then I went for like a desaturated red and green for the blinds even. But I wasn't sure what to do for the bathrooms, because I wanted the bathrooms to look the same on both sides, because honestly I hadn't even decided yet if one side was going to be all red and the other side was going to be all green, or if I was going to have them interswatched. So I went with a blue color scheme as kind of a neutral ground, and then I used the tile and the wallpaper from high school years. It's a bit of a different vibe, but it still kind of fits the whole retro academia look. Like, I'm sure when this bathroom was built, it looked really nice and cool, but now now, in the year 2024, it just looks a little dated. And I think that's very typical of American universities, honestly. After I finished up the bathroom, I just copied and pasted it for the other 4 bathrooms. They were all pretty much identical, so it worked out. And then the townhouse that was here before I demolished it had these really pretty flower planter boxes underneath the windows. And I wanted to try and do something similar, and while I was looking in the flower box area, I found these fake balconies, and I fell in love with them. I can't even put my finger on why I like them so much. They're just perfect. But I still wanted some flowers, so I used that hanging flower item from university and put it by the tops of the windows. By the way, it's been raining while I've been recording, and it's steadily getting more and more severe out there, so if you can hear it and you're wondering what that noise is, it's the rain. I'm sorry. This is the part of the build where I realized that university has tall wall height doors, and I didn't realize that up until this point because I was building this on medium wall height. But I really wanted a nice, big, grand door, and so I actually used one on the 2nd floor, and it works even though the door is meant for tall wall height, and we're using medium wall height, because I don't have anything on the 3rd floor, so it kind of clips weirdly up there, but since we never go up there, it doesn't matter. We're about to get to my favorite part of the build, which is this rooftop party space. I was really excited for this. I wanted to put everything. I got the juice keg out, I got some cool flags, I got the banners from each school, which didn't actually end up fitting on the top. But I used them later, don't worry. And then chat also recommended that I put some activity stuff up there, so I got a chess set, I got an easel later, a stereo, a bunch of stuff to just really make it feel lively. My chat brought up a good point about the dangers of drinking alcohol on a rooftop. Like, you might fall, but it's The Sims. They're more likely to die from that telescope up there than from falling over. Now we're moving on to the inside community areas. There was this weird space behind the staircase that I didn't know how to use, so I put the fuse box back there from For Rent, and what was really interesting was that I had to put the non-functional fuse box. The real fuse box was marked as a forbidden item. The other item that's forbidden is a stove, and it makes sense because in most dorms in America, you're not allowed to have stoves or really any way to cook, because it's a fire hazard. But that's not the case all of the time. Like in my college, my dorm had a communal kitchen we could all use, and it had a stove. And plus, that's largely a thing with American universities. Like, there's universities all over the world, and even though this pack is definitely focused on American universities, I kind of think it sucks that they have hard-coded forbidden items. And they even went back and added more with the For Rent pack. Like, the For Rent pack came with some changes to other parts of the game. Like, you can now move the windows in the city living apartments, which is a huge quality of life update. And so I'm just a little bit disappointed that they clearly thought about needing to change the university housing when they were making the For Rent pack because they added more forbidden items, but like that was their choice to add more restrictions instead of taking some of them away. Like, I watched the stream they did with some of the developers of the For Rent pack, and they talked about how they were really proud of in the rental units you don't have requirements. You have suggestions for things, but you could just make a giant room and rent that out if you wanted to. And I was really excited about that premise. Like, some guidance is nice, but having hard restrictions in a game like this that's all about freedom just feels very contrary and limiting. So I guess I'm just disappointed that that's the decision they made with the university pack, but at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. There's mods to fix it. Anyway, rant over. I still wanted to put some sort of communal kitchen in here, and we also put vending machines, so your Sims have options for food. We added the snacks vending machine from high school years, as well as the hot meals vending machines from Snowy Escape, and then I did a little communal kitchen that has a microwave and a fridge, so you can at least do quick meals, as well as the kettle and the pressure cooker that came with For Rent. Because for some reason, the pressure cooker's allowed, and you can actually make a lot of meals with that. And then I added the 2 sinks, because with 8 Sims living here, I imagine more than 1 sink is going to be in use at a time. Now here's where I went through and added a little bit of a personal touch to each room. I went and got these university posters, and I put one in every room. Most of them are from like teams and clubs and stuff, but there's an anti-Ubright and an anti-Foxbury poster, and I put one of each in the build. But I kind of hid it behind the dresser, because this is a dorm for all, and I imagine whoever runs the dorm might have rules about like no cross-university hate, so they have to hide their poster. Now I really wanted to use these school banners, but I couldn't figure out how. They weren't quite the right size to go on the roof, so they had to go in the front yard, and eventually I decided maybe some sort of recruiting day event is going on. Like, maybe both schools are here, they have a booth, they have their students manning the booths, talking to like prospective freshmen and trying to get them to come to their school. And so I tried to put stuff on either side that like represented the schools. So Foxbury gets the rocket in progress, and then Ubright got some easels, as well as a ping pong table, because I had been dying to use that in this entire build, and that ended up being the best place for it. Then I finished out the outside with this beautiful tile from For Rent, and then added apartment trash cans to all of the units. Some final touch-ups, and the build was done! So now it's time for our build mode tour. I really think this build looks nice, and it for sure fits in with the vibes of the townhouses nearby. Honestly, I'd even say it looks better. These front areas for both universities came out so well. I love the like university merch that the pack came with. Like, these chairs are so darling. Then as we go inside, we have the common area. Here's the kitchen I was mentioning, again with more merch from both schools. I really like these cabinets from Dream Home Decorator, especially this round piece right here. I don't know if I've ever seen that before, but it is so pretty. I'm glad I found it. Then over to the left, we have like a media area. I feel like colleges are always trying to get their students to interact more, so for sure they would set up a movie night. There are the vending machines I was talking about. And then the entrance to each of the 4 rooms. We'll look at one in detail, but they're all kind of the same. So here it is, it's pretty basic. You got a bed, you got a desk, you got a beanbag chair, a dresser, and then this weird box thing. I don't know, it's extra storage. You always seem to need extra storage in college. Then into the bathroom. It looks a little cramped, but I mean, it's functional. You have shower, you have toilet, you have tile that I messed up, but I'm honestly not gonna fix it at this point. And you even have 2 sinks, so you can brush your teeth at the same time as your roommate. Here's the other room. It looks pretty similar, but you can see on the back of the doors here they have an emergency exit plan, and I love that detail. All the rooms are pretty similar, but let's check out upstairs anyway. This is the inside of that grand door I was talking about. I understand why it's classified as a tall door, because from the outside it goes above the roof, but from the inside it works perfectly on medium wall height. Then here's the roof area. Honestly, I love this part of the build. We got these chairs back, we got the juice keg, we got a ton of skill building opportunities, and I love the easel. I think someone could just sit here, paint from reference, and paint this like gorgeous town. A dramatic shot pulling away from the build. It just looks so good. Thank you to everyone in chat who helped me make this. Truly, this is one of my favorite builds I've done. I stream weekly, so come say hi sometime. And as always, have a lovely day. Bye!